Evolve your content is the subject for today's amazing and final episode of the season for Social Media Makeover. Can you believe it, Lucas O'Keefe?
I cannot believe it. I don't know where the time has gone. I think, I can talk about social media all day long, and they say time flies when you're having fun. So that must be what happened on my end.
It has happened. And let me just tell our viewer live, we'll see you in the chat. Replay, we're glad you're here hanging out with us. It's going to be valuable for you. Let me draw your attention to this remixable template in the description, which is I'll actually pull it up on my screen as well.
Sweet.
This is
Ooh,
our
look at that.
episode guide. Look at that. Our episode guide, which actually goes through all 11 episodes since January, bi-weekly. Then this month we've doubled up. We have 11 wonderful episodes, a little description of who we are. So, Lucas, we've said before, this series has built on itself. And so today, I think it feels like kind of like the last topic, which is where do we go from here? And that's such an exciting topic to tackle. So
It
people
really
check
is.
out our remixable template. Like, check this out. This is our little guide. It's got links to only the episode rather, and the template for that episode. I know that they all link because I went through here painstakingly and hyperlinked them. Glad we can do that in Express, by the way. Click a text
I
layer,
love this.
highlight
This
the
is
text.
amazing to really
Do
just
you
see
like
how it
it?
all comes together. Like we said, it's almost like a course, and it's not only a course, it's like a workbook with the templates. Someone could
Yes.
even take this and give themselves a series of projects and try to tackle a different template or a different project based on these lessons or these episodes every week, and you will have a pretty made over social media presence.
Who's going to give themselves homework? This is the teacher in you speaking. It's so obvious to me that you're a teacher right now.
I reveal
I
it
love it
pretty
though.
often. But you're revealing your teacher side with this amazingly packaged handout here. So this is really well done.
I thought you'd be proud. So good, friends. That's linked in the description below. That's our remixable template for today. If you caught episode 10, that was where I kind of handed the reins over to Lucas and said, Lucas, give me help. I'm paralyzed by perfection. Maybe if we get a system in place for thumbnails, I'll feel better. And I've got to say, I already feel better. I wasn't planning to show you this, but let me actually go over to Instagram quickly and show you my latest
Did he
post.
post?
Yeah, I
Very
did. Look at my little
nice.
thumbnail. I took a photo very quickly while I was filming the video, and then just in Express quickly added the logo. So I feel like I have a system to maintain, and that was my goal. That was my goal from
Well,
that. So
congratulations.
thank you.
We'll have to
Definitely in the
check
near
back with you
future.
to
Yeah,
see
you
how
have to check.
well
You
you, yeah, I'll
100% have
hold
to
you
check back with
accountable.
me because I'm going to try to increase my frequency with templates that I've created for myself in Express. Just hard, because YouTube is my priority platform, not Instagram. Even though I love Instagram, I have a lot of projects in the day. A lot of people need me. Grateful for it. But like, that's definitely something I'm working on over the summer. And I'm taking everything I've learned from Social Media Makeover to implement that, to increase frequency. Do you think it's possible?
I think so. I think like you said, many of the things we focused on this season, repurposing, finding systems or your own templates that you can use and apply
Yeah.
and quickly insert that unique content that is different each week or each post, and it makes it all come together much faster. I'm already seeing that template you just showed of that reel cover that you just
Yeah.
posted this week, and I'm thinking back to the reel cover we worked on, having that nice professional logo, having your still frame mixed in there, and it's what we worked on. So I believe in you. I know you can have it. You can keep going with that grid, and I'm excited to see how it evolves.
Love it. Okay, well, good. I said to you, I was your client last week. Today, you get to be my client. And it just feels fitting to talk about this as we kind of wrap up this season, at least. What are your hopes and ambitions beyond Instagram? Maybe we spend just a minute or two talking about that, and then we're actually going to build that in Express. Not to give anything away, but I'm thinking Pinterest, I'm thinking LinkedIn, and I'm thinking obviously YouTube. How many years have I been bugging you to start creating content for YouTube? How many, Lucas?
As long as I've known you, so let's say 5 years.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that I can return the favor to you today and all of our friends hanging out in the chat. Um, let's think big picture. We've worked really hard on Instagram and other platforms throughout this season. Now let's think about what is it going to take to follow this path of lesser resistance and show up on other platforms without it taking a huge amount of time and effort. That's my hypothesis today. So you maybe set the stage for when I say to you, where do you want to go beyond Instagram? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I know that I have some excellent, very strong topics that get great results on Instagram. And if people in this short form world are going to take a look, yeah, let's pull up my profile and take a peek.
Let's pull it
If
up.
if people are going to be really responding well to the content that I'm sharing in bite-sized chunks, if you even click on like my first post right at the top, or even that only 1 hour on Instagram one, any of those, but these new Instagram
7,000
dimensions,
likes.
people are liking this post, and this is 3 days 4 days old, so it's a very new piece of content. And I figure if people are liking this topic, if it's doing well, how can I take it from bite-sized little infographic, bite-sized little short reel, and turn it into something bigger? Because as we know, yes, Instagram and TikTok are great for getting reach. It's right in the palm of most people's hands, but are those platforms always where the business is or where the money
Mhm.
is? I would not say as much, right? We know that these platforms don't pay us for our content, whereas if we're looking at something like YouTube, we get paid for our views. I know it obviously varies in how much we're getting paid. You've also shown YouTube is a great place for brand sponsorships too. So I want to take these topics that I know are gold, that I know are doing really well, and I want to flesh them out and take them next level to the different platforms that are out there.
What's wild to me is that you can record a video in like one take, like it's nothing. And I think, I mean, we have Adobe Live to thank us for maybe some weekly media training. I mean, I really feel hopping on here and talking in a cohesive way, although sometimes I question it myself. Like, what did I say? Or did I choke? I just did that on my challenge before this. I was like, huh! We learn, or we at least get comfortable. We get confident communicating. Like YouTube, it's so funny because Instagram is very much your safe space. Like, this is
Yes.
for you. And then for me, I'm like, not even close. For me, it's obviously it's YouTube. Can I show you really quickly how I set up a project in Adobe Express for a YouTube video? Would that
I
be
would love
helpful?
that. I think that will help me see how I can do the same and then hopefully apply my social media content, which is small, to this. And like I said, flesh it out, expand on it, and make it longer.
I'm so excited to show you this. So I pulled up the YouTube video I was working on this morning. Friends, we're keeping today's kind of format a little bit like workshop-y, like we did last week. You seemed to respond well to that one, so we're doing that one again. I also had Lucas share two of his recent high
Yes.
performers. So we have access to this in Express. The beautiful thing in Adobe Express is that you can start from one content type and build this out in seconds for something else. I've got to say, I'm kind of excited to talk about something other than Instagram because, like, this is my domain. I publish minimum one, normally two videos a week. On a really busy week, I could do up to three, but I don't have much time for anything beyond that. It's a lot of work. The first thing I do in Adobe Express, if I'm preparing content for YouTube, is I take a screenshot of the video that I filmed. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. Sometimes I find a funny face just to entertain myself. Literally just take a screenshot of the video, pop in that screenshot here. Super important. If you're wanting to make high quality video content, I recommend doubling the size of the canvas. Okay, super important because 1080, like 1920 by 1080 would probably be the default size for a video, and that's fine in the vertical video social media world. But with YouTube, I try to focus on the things I can control. I can't control if a video is going to go viral. I can control if a video is well shot and well delivered. So I double the size of the canvas. So it's double, so 1920 by times two, and then 1080 times two. So 3840 by 2159. That will give us 4K on the export and on the download. So highly recommend doubling the size of your canvas. So happy to talk about horizontal these days. We're always talking about vertical, and I'm like, oh God. but this is my world. So take a screenshot. And this is really, I'm not actually going to use this screenshot for anything, but it becomes a visual reference for when I go to prepare my graphics. Does that make sense?
Yes, because my question here is when you're having your graphics, do you remain on screen and then your graphics will come up alongside you? Is that what or in the negative space to the left and right of your head?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up my script in a second, so you can see it. I should have had it up already, but I forgot. But I'll pull up the Google Doc where I work on it centrally. But basically, what I do, I can prepare like 90% of my graphics in Adobe Express for videos. Of course, if I'm using After Effects and I'm getting like animators involved, that gets more complicated. So I try, for simplicity's sake, to limit what I do in Express, and so much of what I can do in Express is all I need. So that's exactly what I do. Let me actually just delete this. So the first thing I do with this screenshot is I'll plop in this image. So this image is the logo for an app that I'm reviewing. We can go over here to add-ons. Go to your add-ons. You know where I'm going with this. We can go to brand fetch. And I think this is Wondershare. They've got a handful of tools. Let's see if they have Recover It. They might not. This one's a little more niche, but the brand is called Wondershare. So hop in here. We can, let's say this was the logo. In this case, I'm using this one, but I can just drag that in and put that in its place. And what I love is now I can just directly add on those rounded corners so it looks and feels like an app. I usually
Right.
add those on manually in Express, and pop that into place. So then what I would do is I would just click duplicate, just delete that background, and I would download this as a PNG, just like that, transparent PNG. Now I don't have to waste time communicating to my editor. Hey, put it over here, centered right. Like
Right.
the frame is already captured in this. So he can literally just pop in that graphic and download it. So
And it's exactly the
um,
right size.
it's exactly the right size and there's no questioning. If I just take a few extra seconds to just place it like that, I find that that's so helpful. And then if he needs to isolate it or he wants to animate it, he can crop it in Premiere Pro he uses. But I'm hoping today you'll kind of see how we use Express in addition to a tool like Premiere Pro or After Effects. In After Effects, I don't know what to click. I'll be honest. I open After Effects and I'm like, oh my God, this is for people that are way smarter than me. But Premiere Pro, I know the basics, but certainly Express tends to be my go-to because it's easy to use, not just for vertical video, but also for horizontal, for high quality video works beautifully.
And what were those
So
dimensions again? So
yeah,
like you
good
said, to get it in
call.
4K, to get it large?
Yeah, so what I do is I just double the size of 1920 by 1080 and do 3840 by 2159. And that just makes it double the size of the canvas. And that gives us a 4K output in the graphics that we create. So they're double the size, scaled down, or even in stock footage. So here's an example. This is a tool that you use to recover your hard drive if it ever
Okay.
fails. This is a platform for that. So I love that I hop over here to Adobe Express, click media, and I just literally what I did was I went, are there any videos about hard drives?
Like a
You never
failing hard
know, but
drive.
yeah, I'm always pleasantly surprised. I like this
I am
one. So
too.
it's if yeah, so boom. And it's just a visual to keep the screen fresh. You've talked about that when creating vertical video, how important it is to like change the frame every few seconds. I would say for let me just pull I want to pull up the script. I'm gonna have to go to my Google Drive quickly to find that. But I want to show you. But like YouTube, it's not quite as important. This brand is called Recover It. There we go. It's not quite as important to have to like, let me go big so you can see it, to have to change it every few seconds. But this,
Right.
friends, is what my script template looks like. Put the title up there. Anything in the highlighted yellow is what I deliver to camera, and the brand approves that. And then anything that's blue like this indicates a graphic
Oh,
that
okay.
goes into a folder, that goes into a folder for the editor. So
And
in a
you
video
make the graphics in
I
Adobe
make the
Express.
graphics. Phil Palin, make the graphics for all of my YouTube videos. unless it's something really complex and requires animation, which I try to avoid because that adds time on the timeline. And truly, 98% of your graphics can be made in Express. Like even if I wanted to add animation to this, I could. Um, we want to talk about that probably wouldn't make sense. Like, I could have some fun with like how I want to animate these. Like this
Yeah.
could work,
Yep.
something like this, something that's a little like that could be kind of subtle. Let's see how it looks when it's playing. Like, ever relate to the stress of your hard drive failing? I get it. It's stressful. It's horrible. Something like that. Um, this is what my script looks like. Basically, the yellow highlights are the parts I do first, Lucas.
Okay.
Um, I know it looks complex, but there's really just a few components here. It's like highlighted in yellow means read it from the teleprompter. And then blue means a graphic saved in a folder. And it's either an MP4 or a PNG that I save in Express. And that's literally it. And then normally, as a tech reviewer or tech content creator, I record my screen. So without my camera. So that's what this is. And then any kind of like, this is just my own system, but any kind of italicized bit are just the like loose talking points that I'll like add to,
So you go a little
So
off
let's start
script
from
for
the
those.
dashboard. Yeah, I go off exactly. Let's start from the dashboard. You're gonna love this tool. It's gonna help you recover lost and deleted files from things like HDDs, SD, SSD, whatever those are. I'd read them properly. Um, and that's it. And then I find because I record these sections later, or sorry, yeah, later, I try to account for me coming back on screen. Because I travel so much, I can't record these bits from the same location because it takes me about 3 weeks to finish a video. So
Right.
step one is just get the two camera bits, then go back, record the screen and the voice, which is here. But then I make sure that I come back on camera at least a few times throughout the video so that it keeps the engagement high. Okay. So, and it can be something generic. Now let's scan my external hard drive because I need those files back. Like at the time that I'm recording this video, I don't really know what I'm talking about before or after. I have a loose plan, but it can
Hmm.
change. So any of my two camera bits are just me coming back on camera to remind you that I'm still here.
And that could be
Does that make
anything.
sense?
Yes. And
It can be
I'm
anything.
guessing
Yeah.
like, I work with brands as well, and I'm guessing the yellow would be like, as you said, the word for word key points you have to make sure are
Yeah.
pronounced correctly because they're set up
Yeah.
in the deliverables for the brand. Wow, that is a nice
Or
system.
sometimes not. Sometimes I avoid reading those two camera. If it's something that I think could change, I do it just as a voiceover only so that I don't have to
Okay.
go back and refilm. Anything that gets filmed is like set in stone because I don't have to do it twice. If it's a voiceover, I can just update that quickly. And I should note, I don't have it around here, but same microphone that I have sitting at my desk, which I'm holding up right here, is exactly the same microphone that exists in my suitcase. So it sounds completely seamless. So I may say something like, check this out, turn to my computer. Check this out. I'll repeat the same sentence so that when I go into the voiceover, he'll just cut out the second one and it sounds seamless. I know it's getting like a little technical, but I do have like a very ironed down process for videos that I want anyone to steal, including you.
Well, if we hop over to my screen, I can show you how
Let's do
I
it.
have stolen this. And it's actually
Yes.
it's already making me feel way more confident in having this process. So as we've
Cool.
spoken about, I have my pre-existing really strong content. This post has done really well for me. I post it very often. It's like a typical Instagram engagement routine. Obviously, for short form content, I had to trim it to something catchy and a good hook. Only 1 hour on Instagram, it's worked really well. Just so I can follow, I want to make sure I did this right because I'm excited to try your process. Let's say this were the video that I took. This is my still frame right here. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm
Right.
not centered. That was a big thing I learned just from watching you already. I need to be centered. But if I were speaking, you could.
Well, hold on.
Okay,
I'm
go
going to
for it.
interrupt you there
Please do.
because it's a stylistic choice. So I tend to stay centered because I know the distance of me from the camera leaves enough room left and right for graphics.
Okay.
If your camera is positioned closer to you, I think it's totally fine to have you slightly off to the side so that you have room for graphics and on-screen elements that you add later.
Okay. So that in this
Your
case, as you
camera's
said,
quite close. Yeah,
I'm
your
super
camera's quite
close up.
close.
So
So
this
I
could be a
actually
good
think it's a good
example.
placement. Yeah, I think it's a
Okay,
good
awesome. Well,
placement.
that's reassuring as well. And I guess I would just confine myself to only having the graphics on this one side. It's very much my Reels brain, you can tell, where everything is
Yeah,
centered, and I would probably want like sidebars right here. So that's reassuring, and that's already freeing me to want to go onto some horizontal video and explore that format. One thing I
hmm
wanted to try was if I were to record a video on this topic, only 1 hour on Instagram, here's how to use it. You're basically saying I could put the post right here as an image and I could
Yeah,
have this, on screen. I can do things to, while it's on screen, I can animate it and actually make it do other stuff. I can maybe, make some clips of each of these sections and talk about each piece of the pie while I'm doing that. Here's while you were explaining your process, I was following along and I would just have this PNG right here that I could overlay on top of my graphics later after the fact.
100%.
So
100%.
there you
Now,
go.
I work with an editor that uses Premiere Pro, obviously still in the Adobe family, but let's say you're not comfortable using Premiere Pro, you could do this entirely in Adobe Express. You could edit your YouTube video entirely in Adobe Express. There's now scenes, which we'll maybe show in
Yep.
a moment. But I would say like you can edit the whole thing, in which case you could animate it over top of that video layer that you record. Like, I'm like, how can we do this that's as close as possible what you're already used to doing, right?
Right,
You
right.
record like a 1 minute video or like a 90-second video. And so maybe your YouTube video is like 5 90-second videos that you compile together.
I think that's important because I'd probably, well, not probably, I would definitely be trying to funnel my Instagram audience who likes my short form content
Yeah.
over to my YouTube. I wouldn't want to shock them by saying, "Hey, you like my short form content? Well, go watch this 30-minute video." I think I would want to ease them into it and try and just elaborate on the concepts a little bit to the point where, as you said, it's a 5-minute video, not anything that is completely brand new to me just yet.
Well, so yeah, the idea of doing a 30-minute video feels like having to go and run a marathon that you haven't been training for. So keep this manageable and doable. I mean, much like Lucas guided me last week with the thumbnails, it was like, stop overthinking it, just do what's safe and secure for you, right? And so um I think I generally aim for 7 to 9 minutes for a YouTube video. I'd say an average of 8 minutes is really good for a YouTube video. It's long enough. Generally, it's an intro. Actually, if I share my screen, I can show you
Sure.
that script layout again. This is a real script that I'm showing you on screen that I follow.
I know,
And friends,
yeah.
this is just a rough outline that you can use. So hook is like grab their attention. Remember that in YouTube time, we can take a little more time than having to like rush and get it short form. In an Instagram reel, it's like 60 to 90 seconds, whereas here, like it's like 8 minutes. You still want to grab their attention right away to make sure the viewer identified that they're in the right place. We could probably talk about thumbnails in a dedicated episode, but like the thumbnail should be the door, and then people walk through the door and then they experience that video. It should be consistent. So if your thumbnail makes a promise, right away, make sure the viewer knows from clicking on that thumbnail that they're in the right place. And generally, every video is made up of an intro and then 3 to 5 parts and then an outro.
Okay.
That's it. I try to make 3 to 5 points. This platform works great. The dashboard's easy to use. It's got this other function. It's affordable to buy. Buy it. That's literally a video. So in this one, it has four parts. And I just try to remember, plan to come back on screen throughout the video. If you record, a voiceover screen later. Worst thing that happens, Lucas, is I don't use it. In which case I would just highlight this and just drag through it. That tells the editor, get rid of that part. So much
That's
of this is
on.
just
Oh, the strike through.
communication.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So much of this is just communication. Like if you can come up with a little system, I use Google Docs for this. You could probably do this directly in Express with the commenting and revisions. For me, Express is where I do all my graphics. This is another YouTube channel that I create for. There's tons of templates for these, which are um, YouTube end cards.
Oh, I didn't know they had
So,
templates for this.
oh yeah, there's templates for all this stuff. Here's an example, which we'll just add. I think I've literally reached my page limit, so I can't add it. You can tell I'm an Express power user, but like that's an example. So you can annotate these directly in YouTube, and test it out before you like just test it out, upload a video, make sure it's all in the right size. And again, the beauty, so many of these things could be Instagram posts that are just text only posts, right? That you've got like this
Yep.
and like this, that then you can animate, make horizontal, and turn into YouTube graphics. So, what I want to do, will you pop in? I'm going to add a slide for you. You're going to pop in that screenshot
We're
that
on the
you
carousel,
have,
right?
or
Okay.
on the carousel. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to go 380/40 by 2160, double canvas size. That helps me hit 4K. Okay. Friends, what do you think so far? Is this going to give you some confidence to do YouTube? Let me know. Let us know. Let us know. I know it's like a daunting task.
Oh, I got
Absolutely
poked
perfect.
twice. There we go.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't know.
Looks
I don't know
good.
what dimensions I took this one in, so it might be
Doesn't matter.
kind of stretched.
Doesn't matter. Looks absolutely
There we go.
perfect.
Did I put it twice?
So,
No, just once. Okay, there we go.
no, I see it just once. So I'm going to hop over here. Beauty of Express is that we can um, copy and paste from slides and pages of all different sizes. So funny, I would actually think about designing your home set to give yourself either through lighting or natural light or artificial light. When I designed this space to be filmed by this camera over here, not this one is for streaming, I try to make sure there's contrast in the way that it's filmed, the color that actually shows up, if that makes sense. So in this
Yep. So
case, you
you
might even
can
go
have
darker
graphics in
over
the back.
there. Exactly. So you can have graphics. Exactly. Um, so, but you could also,
I know where
you
you're going with
love,
this.
yeah, you love drop shadow. And that's totally on brand for you. Actually, that one looks really good. So that looks really good. And does this not totally already feel like a YouTube video that you would create?
It does. And I'm liking how this could be my thumbnail, what we're seeing right here, right? This could be
Totally.
an intro hook. I like how you're talking about doing an Adobe Express where we can, have animations to bring this on screen as we're going. It all looks great.
So what I'm going to do, I love the idea of this being a thumbnail. I'm going to duplicate that. And actually a thumbnail should be 1920 by 1080. So
Okay.
it's the exact same dimensions, but it'll just decrease the size so that when you go to download this, I recommend as a JPEG. PNG will be too high. I think it's a 2 or a 4 MB maximum on YouTube for your thumbnail. I think it's 4. So stick with JPEG, which is the best for lots of colors in an image to save those. Okay. And then I might label this thumbnail, whatever we want. Okay. I'm going to put that first. And then let's create. I really like this. I'm going to duplicate this slide. And let's resize this. 38. I mean, you already have everything you need to create a YouTube video. You have
Including my
everything
script,
you
just
need,
from what I'm seeing here. Like I already have I can turn this post into a script very easily.
literally. So what's your first tip for struggling to create?
It's using the grow method. So it's 4 types of content you can use. The first is guiding content. That is
Great.
on page 6 if you want to see that. Yep.
So something like this could literally be your little graphic in between those sections. So we can animate this. Let's have it drift in. Let's click play. So we like it. Guiding. I mean, literally, and then download this as an MP4. Yeah, 4K. Look at that.
I
That's an
already love how
option.
this looks. And I like that you're including like the freedom of having just voiceovers, because I think that's a big obstacle for me, is trying to say
Yes.
everything correctly. But even with my own Reels content, when I all of a sudden am doing like a cutaway to just like a screen share and I'm not on camera, it's so much
Yeah.
easier because I can read directly from the script. It doesn't matter if my eyes are looking at the camera because I know it's my face is going to be completely covered. So I think as someone who's newer to YouTube trying to step into this, if I can have a few opportunities for that, it's going to make it much easier for me to structure this overall video.
Absolutely. The main thing is to just have a solid place where you communicate all of this. And again, I'm showing on my screen the script. So what we're creating would be like the little graphic for part one. So that might be something that wedges right in here. We could do like an animation, something like this, animation, and that can be G equals guiding. And what I would literally do is put the file name on here and I would highlight it in blue. This is just my own
Yep.
system, but that way my editor knows, go and grab it. Would actually be MP4. My editor can go and grab that and put it there. And then that, what we just created in 2.5 seconds, where are we there? Like this, is just enough of a little visual break that then you come back on screen and just explain it. So
I love
I
it.
would say yes, it takes some pressure off of you. You could do screen records as long as you have enough to show on screen. That's really important. If it's just like a teaching thing, like here are 5 tips that I want to teach you, just record them. You don't have to do them all in one take. Just give us like, you're so good at this, just like a little mini clip on here's G. G equals guiding. Here's what it is. Here's an example. The example could be stock media. Give me an example of G. Now I'm really putting you on the spot. Like, give me an example.
Tutorial content. So teaching someone how to do something, a tutorial that they're going to learn from.
So here's what I do. I duplicate the slide and then I just delete the context that's on it. That one is, let me just delete that. So then I go to media, go to video, find tutorial. So what I would look at that. So then just fill the video screen and literally right there, that's something that you could talk over.
That's
Let's
perfect.
say you're not going to, so G equals guiding people through content. This could be as simple as a tutorial. So literally you could find 3 20-second clips and talk for a minute about it. And 30% of your YouTube video is done.
That's amazing. And as you were saying this person on screen in the stock video is very clearly teaching a tutorial. They're showing,
Exactly.
how to cut a heart into a card. Giving examples like that, I love this. I've always struggled to find out where I can incorporate like these cutaways, stock photo or stock video, or even on-screen graphics. But you're making it look so easy.
It's so easy because in Express, you have access to all of this. So you've got your brand kit to stay on brand for your graphics. This I already showed you is a brand that I create for a separate YouTube channel that I'm the face of, but I'm commissioned to create these videos. It's called The Modern Boss. And literally, this started with one graphic. And in Express, we built it out. There's some crazy hair that day. But again, I always like it's just for my own reference. See how I then download that as a PNG. I can add that or animate it separately. And these are all, this is for vertical video, little animation. If I go to edit timeline here, you can see how this just comes together. You basically just build yourself some templates, you know, and all of that can be done in Express. And the more you create, the more you have for build out. So I use stock footage all the time, which I use from Adobe Stock, obviously integrated into Express. Um, and what's also really cool is that I work in here, but also my editor hops in here. So instead of him having to go, hey, can you adjust the timing on this animation? He doesn't need to. He can hop in here and adjust it himself because we work from the same document.
That's a great
So
example of
cool,
making the
right?
workflow very smooth. And as we've talked about before, we've shown examples all throughout of how someone can integrate Adobe Express into a workflow with Photoshop, into a workflow with Adobe Illustrator. But it's very cool to see how we can tackle video in longer form here with tools like Premiere Pro as well.
Yeah. So think about The main graphics you need for a YouTube video, and don't overthink it. Literally just take the existing style that you have from Instagram, which is very clear, it's black and white, it's instructional. There are sometimes colors. Literally, I mean, this could totally just inspire the visual style
Yep.
of your YouTube videos. Take that existing Instagram post and hop over to Express, duplicate and resize it, and start to think about just quick and easy visuals. What I like to do is just start a timer on my phone. I have 15 minutes to pull B-roll. I do take the time to script it out, and that way everyone's on the same page. The majority of my posts are sponsored content. So I find that if the brand can approve this ahead of time,
Yeah.
then there's actually almost no room for confusion. Or Phil, can you reshoot this? Yeah, if you pay me. Like I'm so busy. Some days I'm only home 3 or 4 days in the month that like when I shoot, it's pretty much only once a month. I'm normally doing 6, 7, 8 YouTube videos in one go, but it's just the two camera portions. Because then on the
Right.
road, I can do the voiceovers and the screen recorded portions. I even put the description of the YouTube video here so that I can just copy and paste it when it comes time to post it. Just while I'm in the head zone. Uh,
I
I
think
can
this is
just
going to change. This is going to change how I even do my reels, seeing you do this. Because when I'm thinking about my content in general, I've always wanted to set a goal to include more B-roll, more footage that is, again, breaking things up, breaking it up from just my face on screen. I want to switch it in there, even whether it's a short form video or a longer form video. But seeing this script that you have here and seeing how easy it is to use Adobe Express, I think I can even find some vertical ones and start incorporating those. One of the most daunting things for me when it comes to recording a video tutorial or a video in general is getting B-roll of myself. I don't know if you've tried to get B-roll of yourself, but it's difficult, right? You have to
yeah.
like you have to prop up a camera somewhere, hope the lighting's okay, do pretend to do something. Like whenever I have
Honey,
to do B-roll
B-roll
of
is
me on a
not my
laptop,
world. Like, not my world. I talk to the camera and teach something, or tell a story, or reflect. Like, make a YouTube video. Struggling to create high value content? Let me give you 5 high value content types. Starting with the first one. Pause, because you know that you're going to have a cut there,
yep.
because we're going to have this quick graphic that we created, adding animation, literally bungee it in, live it, love it. Type 1 is G, which stands for guiding. Blah, 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 blah. An example of this would be a teacher that films a tutorial and posts it. There we go. Literally hop over to stock media. Okay. So I feel like we're covered well on YouTube. You could hop into um
I'm showing how easy it is,
templates.
how I literally made this while you were talking too. Like
Oh, please.
I made like an extension as well where if I was like,
I'm so
"Oh, okay,
impressed.
what do I do? Maybe I don't want to be on camera for this, or I messed up and I need to redo a voiceover." Because I don't know about you, I've often like recorded a video and then had to make a change. I know you probably bypass that quite a bit by submitting the script beforehand, but things do change, and that's where
Absolutely.
I designed something like this just off your advice, threw in some animations right there. I had a little fun with it. I could play with the timing as well to make them come in at different points. But this could also be something I can see myself using. Yeah, it might get away from me directly being on camera, but I think I'm more comfortable being able to have like graphics on screen
Yeah.
that I can rely on and read more properly without looking at my camera the whole time. So I could easily copy and paste this. And like you said, make templates from my own projects that I can use and really speed up my workflow every single time.
Love it. I went rogue and decided to share my script template. I thought it wasn't fair that I just share it with you. So sweet Voodoo Val has put the link, the clickable link in the description. I'll make sure we update the description after the show to
Okay.
make sure that it also has my free script template that you're welcome to use if you're feeling inspired to create YouTube content like Lucas is. In our remaining time, Lucas, and I might hand this one over to you a little bit more, we should talk about some other platforms that don't get quite as much love. Again, this whole series has been focused on Instagram, but our thesis today is that like Instagram is the starting seed for things to grow beyond there.
Yep.
YouTube is obviously my domain. I would also love to talk about LinkedIn, and if we have time, Pinterest. You can pass the baton back to me when we talk about Pinterest. But like, you've been good about posting on LinkedIn, right? So maybe could you talk through how you take a an Instagram post and get it ready for LinkedIn?
Yeah, and people are going to be pleased to hear, especially if they're already designing Instagram content, to hear that it's very easy to take something
Yeah.
from Instagram, which we know our audience likes Instagram because we've spoken about it so much, and to repurpose it as a LinkedIn post. I think this one we have on screen is a perfect example because it's a carousel post. I'll flip through. You will notice that there are a lot of carousels on LinkedIn. They feel like a swipe deck, right? Or like a pitch
Mm,
deck, feels more professional as a material, which is what LinkedIn is all about. Yes, on Instagram we have the carousels too, but the great thing about LinkedIn is that your carousels are already right at home for that platform. All you have to do is export them as PDFs, which is awesome. So if you go ahead, I obviously wouldn't do all the pages for this one because we've worked in some other graphics here, but it's nice that it already has it defaulted to a PDF here because as long as you export as a PDF, you can add this to LinkedIn as a file. So LinkedIn has all the typical formats. You can add something as a video, you can add something as a photo, which confuses people because people think, oh, a carousel on Instagram needs to be a bunch of photos on LinkedIn, but that's wrong. And if you do it as photos, it actually ends up looking like an old school Facebook photo album where it's just like a plastering of photos and you have to click
yes.
on each one individually. So if you
Bad
do it as,
idea.
it is a bad idea. But if you do it as a file, it'll be swipeable. Whether someone is on their computer, which is probably a little bit more reasonable for LinkedIn, they can click through the pages. They don't have to go back out to the album and open each photo, or they can actually swipe on it. One thing I want to point out here, though, is if you are repurposing your content, you want to just make sure that there aren't subtle things that should be changed because people will notice them right away. I, for one, want to put something, I want to change something that would be in my call to action. Usually you can get away with changing the call to action, but this one right here is very clearly optimized for Instagram. It says, share this if you found it useful, and comment worksheet for a free planning worksheet for these types of content. That's because I would be using this with an Instagram DM automation flow that's going to have someone comment something and they'll receive it in their inbox. LinkedIn, to my awareness, does not have that. So I wouldn't want to
Mhm.
put this, have people commenting worksheet, 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 and getting nothing, right? So instead, I might put, just for LinkedIn, reshare this with your network and check the comments for a link to my free worksheet on this strategy. I see people do this a lot where they will put something as like maybe like a bit.ly or a shortened link in the comments on a LinkedIn post. I will highlight one other tip that if you are directly posting links, and maybe you found this too, Phil, if you're putting a link in your LinkedIn post description directly, it'll really hurt the reach of the post. So if you are going to include a link, put it in the caption in the comments, not the overall
Mhm.
description of the post. But this is an easy way to do that. I can link people to a Google Drive folder or a landing page where they're going to give me their email and they're going to get the worksheet. But if I had the old Instagram call to action, it would be confusing for them. So that's one main thing to really look for. What else I might do is check my post to see, like, have I mentioned Instagram anywhere in this, right? Do I say, try the grow method to build engaging Instagram content? In this case, I haven't, but I want to go ahead and check. Do I talk about like reels? Do I talk about carousels? Things that are terminology only Instagram would have. See right here, I have on this observe industry trends content, I give an example saying, break down the latest Instagram features. Well, maybe I want to just subtly change that, breaking down the latest LinkedIn features. Small things like that really do have it feel at home. And I know we've spoken about repurposing content and we can speak at length about repurposing content even more. But I think a very important thing to highlight is don't remind anybody that it's a repurposed post. Don't make it
Yeah.
look like you were lazy and just pasted your old Instagram content directly on LinkedIn and you want people to interact with it. Do those subtle changes and you're going to get much better engagement on that post and platform.
I also think your design is really perfect for LinkedIn because it's lots of white space, nice big text, easy to read. We have to think about like, yeah, people will log on to LinkedIn on their computers, but the majority of users on LinkedIn are from their mobile phone. And so this kind of like clean, easy to digest format is perfect for LinkedIn. So friends, as you're thinking about duplicating and resizing those types of projects that could be from platforms like Instagram, YouTube, keep it nice and simple and easy to digest. There's also I don't know what the PDF page limit is on LinkedIn, but I know it's high. It's much higher than Instagram of 20 pages.
Yeah, I want to say again, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like pushing like 100, like
I
99 or
think so
something.
too.
Like it is very
Yeah.
extensive, and I have seen people again take all their carousels, put them all together, and just instead of like covers to the carousel, make it, here, I'll go to it, make it like a chapter book chapter, right? So if I
Hmm.
were going to that Lucas carousel post we've been working on, and we're going back to this being originally was the front cover of the post. If I'm deciding this is now going to be a more extensive ebook feeling file that's going to be posted on LinkedIn, I might change it to something like, well, I got to remember what you said, Phil, always duplicate first. I might
Yeah,
duplicate it
duplicate first.
and then I might change it to, chapter 1, struggling to create high value content. And now that is going to be embedded within my LinkedIn
Easy.
file, my PDF. And that's going to feel much more valuable to an audience. They're probably going to save it, they're going to reshare it with their network. And again, this is a way to get a super shareable post. I know on Instagram, people often feel like they don't want to put too much time in any one post because the lifespan of a piece of content is much shorter. If it's not, blowing up and getting tons of reach within 48 hours, it's probably not going to get much beyond that. On LinkedIn, I don't know about you, but I see posts that are getting tons of views. They're being shown to me weeks after they've been posted because it's going to feed off how much engagement they get. So if people are saying, this is an action packed LinkedIn file, this is a free ebook in a post, it's 50 pages long, and it's a very easy to share and download. As I should mention, people can save and download PDFs as files. This is great. I'm going to reshare this with everybody I know. And that's what's going to really help you grow your audience.
Such a simple addition, the idea of adding the chapter up at the top, like that single-handedly transformed that content and makes it feel like a digital download, a report, a freebie, something that's really valuable for an audience. I think that's such a great suggestion and something you did like without even thinking twice. And like that single-handedly turned that from Instagram to LinkedIn in a second. I think that's really super cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's going to motivate me to get on LinkedIn as well. The great thing is, too, you can stay in Adobe Express for so many of these things. I can schedule my content for LinkedIn with Adobe Express. So, again, getting the most, I think we've highlighted how repurposing content is about getting the most out of what you've done. It's right there
Yes.
in the word. You're not making something brand new, you're taking what you've already put time into and made, usually for your main platform, and you're now going to trickle it out to other platforms that you're hoping to
Yes.
grow on without having to do something completely brand new.
Exactly. Our episode, by the way, about endless content ideas performed very well. I think that's a topic that people are curious for. Today, it's taking that content and modifying it and showing up on other social media platforms. I have one that I want to share, one more, which will be on my screen. We'll talk through for just a few minutes before we wrap, and that's Pinterest. I feel like Pinterest doesn't get the love that it deserves, but it's so easy to do once you've done another platform. So right here, I literally clicked get started, and then I typically type in the word pin, and that'll help me filter 4 different Pinterest pin types. So think of it as the same size, really, as like a vertical video on Instagram. If it's a normal Pinterest post, this is suggesting 1,000 pixels by 1,500. Same kind of like portrait idea. There's a little bit of flexibility on the size of your pin. If you go on Pinterest, you'll see some are square, some are longer. These are the suggested sizes. Thank you, Adobe Express, for suggesting that. Let's click this one, for example, just so you can see the canvas. I now want you to imagine how easy it is to take Lucas's post that we've been working on in various formats like this and turn that into a Pinterest pin. Your name is already there. Okay. It literally is already a Pinterest pin. So what does that mean? Download it as an image, hop over to Pinterest, and just upload it. Pinterest is very smart algorithm wise, much like the other social media platforms. The thing that makes it really unique is that it's the only social media platform that's designed to take people elsewhere. Lucas
Right.
already said it.
It's not
LinkedIn does
afraid to
not
do
want you
that.
leaving. No, LinkedIn doesn't want you leaving. Instagram doesn't want you leaving. YouTube doesn't want you leaving. They want you staying on the platform, consuming the content, and watching ads so that they make money. Whereas Pinterest, from the beginning, it's designed to take you elsewhere. And so these are pins that I've scattered around on blog posts, YouTube videos. These are all things that I've got content on. And I throw it out there, mix them into what I save. If I click on saved here, you'll see they're among all different kinds of things. As a brand strategist, I'm always saving logos, logo ideas, business card designs, and then I intermix my pins in there. And Pinterest remains one of my top drivers of traffic
And clearly, look at your
for
followers
my
on there too.
website.
You have
I
like
know.
right there.
I know. And so almost a million monthly views. That's actually lower. Sometimes it's a couple million views if I'm more active on it. And so this is like a platform people go, oh no, I can't handle another platform. I don't have time for another thing. But if you've already taken the time to create some of this content for one or two or more platforms, I recommend InExpress where you can remix, duplicate, and resize the existing content you have, quickly download it and upload it, and have a presence. The beauty on Pinterest is you can attach a URL to that pin. A pin also is not just, here are a few templates that I use. Like these don't even have, to myself, I always think like the more design it involves, the longer it's going to take me, the less likely I am going to do it. So sometimes they're literally just brand font and text. That's it. Stock photo, pop it in, done. Not perfect. Oh well, better than nothing. When you
But they
go to
do look perfect.
create,
When you zoom out to your Pinterest board you showed us, they do look
yeah,
perfect. And you can show how you basically have unlimited possibilities just from some slight swaps through your brand palette and changing the font or changing the stock photo or putting in your own personal photos.
the final thing I'm going to tell you is that a Pinterest idea pin is Pinterest version of a reel. So you don't need to do anything to it. You can take your Instagram reel, TikTok video, YouTube short, throw it up on Pinterest, attach it to a digital product, a blog post, a freebie, an opt in, done. Pinterest especially loves video content because it's newer and fresher than the static images that people are used to uploading. So that is a quick little overview of how you can take one well-performing post. We spent the most time today turning this into a YouTube video, which was made literally so easily in Express. And so it's just kind of getting over this hump. Like you get into your comfort zone, right? Which for you is Instagram, for me is YouTube. But it's so in this kind of dynamic ecosystem, this creative hub that is Adobe Express, the hard work is creating the first post.
It
Once you've
is.
already created that, now it's literally just duplicate and resize for the platform. Move to YouTube, move to LinkedIn, download as PDF for LinkedIn, which I know is kind of weird. For Pinterest, crop it, resize it. The size actually really doesn't matter. And if you already have vertical video, just download that and upload it to Pinterest. It's the only social media platform designed to take you off the website.
I love it. And if people want to see how to build that content, do you want to go back to our template for this week just one more time, just to kind of
Good
show
idea.
how full circle this has had everything we have covered in this season. I know we've opened a bunch of stuff today,
I've opened
but
up so many
it's
things.
basically a viewing guide of all the different content we've discovered and made quicker and more easily with these episodes that we've had. So go ahead. This is itself can easily be downloaded as a PDF, and then you can actually go into those links. But try it out, create it, make it actionable because this really is a social media course all built in to one document.
Amen to that. And as we say in our remixable template this week, thank you for supporting our show. 11 amazing episodes since January. We go in now and take a little break, a little summer reset, etc. But if you enjoyed this show, let us know, and hopefully we can bring you back some more episodes. If there's something we haven't talked about that you want us to hear, what you want to hear from us, let us know and let's continue the conversation online. It's been such a joy, by the way, Lucas, to get to host with you
It
and
was a lot of fun.
just look forward to this show. We've had so much fun. We hope to continue the excitement after a little break. Friends, thank you for hanging out with us in the chat and watching the replay. And Val and everyone else who's helped us mod, thank you guys so much. We will see you back very soon. Very soon.